Well, Joe, I'd like to start off by saying a massive congrats to Abby Pulling and her team at Rodin Motorsports. I don't want to get too far off topic like I can sometimes do on this program, but I do just want to additionally say I think Abby handled this completely unexpected situation that she was put in by being crown champion and then dethroned just with such grace and maturity. And I'm just so extremely happy that she obviously retained her title. Back to your original question, um, obviously this year the team was operating under Rodin Motorsports for the first year, so technically this is their first drivers' championship for the team. Obviously, we know up until this past year in 2024, we knew the team as Carlin Motorsports, and they have a long history of these championship titles in F2, British F4, GP3, and several drivers have come so successfully from those lower tier formula races. Names like Takuma Sato, Daniel Ricciardo, Jack Harvey, just to name a few. So historically, we know this company can build highly successful racing cars for these younger drivers. So as you mentioned, a very different story for her teammates, but the same car in its other, F4 British and Spanish outing tells a very similar story where it was performing fairly decently. So, again, I think if anything, the biggest takeaway is this year really, really demonstrated Abby's strength behind the wheel and how much it was truly, having a good enough car, but truly, truly an extremely talented individual behind the wheel.
Yeah, I have to say I understand why they did it, but it was a little silly to me that everybody was putting these headlines everywhere, like Abby Pulling dethroned as champion or uncrowned champion elect. I mean, Doriane Pin would have had to take pole position, fastest lap, and win all three races, assuming Abby Pulling didn't score a single point. And then by 1 point, I think Doriane Pin would have been champion. So it was about as possible as actually winning the $1 million prize on the weakest link here in the United States, if you get that reference or a real one. I mean, Abby Pulling, of course, was always going to be the champion, regardless of what happened this past weekend at Abu Dhabi, and thoroughly deserving of a championship. And to your point, Joe, as well, Jessica Egger, Lola Lovenfoss, her teammates, they struggled to score as many points throughout the season as Abby Pulling was scoring in a single race. Of course, Abby had the backing from Alpine, of course, the supporting F1 team. But when you look at Rodin as a whole, kind of suffered on the team's championship side of things there because Abby was really the one pulling the vast majority of the weight there. But nonetheless, like both of you said, Joe and Emily, a fantastic season 4. I wouldn't say I'm surprised by Abby's performance. I'm a little surprised, and I don't know, maybe it was a complete momentum killer at Saudi Arabia. And again, I'll go on and on about that. The penalty was far too harsh for Doriane Pin. I just wonder if just even psychologically, I know she had the injury in the middle of the year as well. That probably didn't help either, but I expected a slightly closer championship battle between those two, even after Abby Pulling started pulling away and just dominating. And Joe, as you said, on the podium every race, and I think only one of those non-wins was a third place finish. So 14 out of 15 races being, or whatever it is, 13 to 14, excuse me, being top 2 finishes. Just no matter how you look at it, just a fantastic season for. But again, did kind of expect Doriane Pin to make it a little bit closer. That was, I think, the surprise for me. Not so much to take away anything that Abby Pulling did, just that Doriane Pin couldn't give her a little bit more of a challenge this season.